I never intended to have a comeback.
Okay.
I intended to go play a couple of tournaments.
I like playing your layout.
Me too.
I'm gonna try to lobby to play with you guys.
I was furious.
Yeah.
I was, my mid-20s, and this adult man said there was no way that I could do that. Well, if I work hard enough, I can.
Yeah, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another practice round. Today we have Juliana Korver, 5-time FPO world champion, 45 and over distance world record holder, correct? 443 feet?
Correct.
Okay. Any other cool things you want to tell about yourself?
Freestyle world champion.
How many times?
Twice.
Twice. Okay, so we have freestyle and disc golf to talk about today. That's pretty, first person on the channel that's talked about both of those things. So that's pretty special. Right here at Des Moines, you helped put this course in, correct?
I did.
So another pretty special thing. I haven't played with someone yet that's put in the course that we're playing. So super awesome right here at the Des Moines Challenge out here in Des Moines, Iowa. We're ready for the Pro Tour event this week. How are you feeling about your game?
I'm not really so concerned about my game at this point in my life, but I just love being here, and I feel so welcomed from the community, because when we put this in, actually we're in Indianola, even though it's called the Des Moines Challenge. When we put this in, there was barely one person a day that would come out to play it, and there's quite a community now, so I feel a lot of respect from that community, and it's just very gratifying to be here.
Well, that's awesome to go from one person a day to a Disc Golf Pro Tour event on the same property. So let's jump right into the round. We have people waiting for us. We're going to get our questions going after she rips her tee shot and parks the hole.
Yeah, that's far.
As far as
Toss it up there like that.
Sure.
she's got that. Look at that.
How are you? Really good. Yeah.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Well.
Can you tell us about kind of how you got into the sport, and then what kind of helped you pursue it professionally?
Well, when I was playing professionally, it wasn't really a professional pursuit.
Okay, okay.
I mean, my goal was to try to become the best in the world, but there was never a thought of making this a full-time profession. I mean, I did live in a van for 4 years starting in '99.
So you're the original van lifer.
I'm not going to say I'm original, but I could see the originals in front of me. Yeah. So I just wanted to see how high I could climb and see what I could do. And I found it in college after I had stopped playing. I don't want to try that one yet.
Okay.
So I played small school, 13 varsity letters in high school, was this size at 12. So I've been around sports my whole life. And boy, I cannot pick a disc and talk at the same time. So I found disc golf after being away from sports for a while, and I was just really craving an athletic outlet.
Come on. Oh, that'll do it.
Got a little lucky.
We'll take luck. You don't get 5 world championships without a little bit of luck.
So this course, after grad school, moved to Indianola, and I was teaching at Simpson College, teaching night classes so that I could play Frisbee during the day. And there was no course in town. Des Moines did have a few. And got connected with a local church group that had a little bit of money that they wanted to spend to try to make an activity for their kids. So we found this park and knew that this would be an awesome location for a course.
And it is. This place is really beautiful. Okay, birdie on the first. She came to play as always. All right, hey y'all, really quick, head on over to GibsonDiscGolf.com. We have our subscription box available still. Bunch of great stuff. Not to spoil it, but next month is going to be all MVP discs. Pretty special stuff, limited releases. If you use code DREW, you're going to save yourself 30% off your first month subscription box. Thank you guys for tuning in the video. Let's get right back into it.
Let's see.
I like playing from up here. It's not much different than there, but the angle is better.
Did you put my disc somewhere?
No? Did you take them out? Oh, there's one. Get down.
I'm glad it's funny.
It's funny that it's so freaking far up the fairway.
That's so good.
If it gets down. Oh,
I'll be fine. So we talk about what kind of got you into the sport. What kind of gave you the incentive to make your comeback, if that's the correct word?
I never intended to have a comeback.
Okay.
I intended to go play a couple of tournaments. And the women's nationals was in Sacramento. I wanted to go see Jim. So I signed up for that one and I started practicing. And, you know, I mean, I started practicing months in advance for this because I didn't want to embarrass myself. And I'd been playing overall events, so I was still throwing frisbees. But maybe 2 months before the event occurred, COVID hits and my job situation changes, and I was part owner of a little 4-person programming company, and we decided to disband and go our separate ways. And so I thought, cool, you know, now I can play 3 or 4 tournaments. And
Or 40 or 50.
well, I did better than I expected coming back, and saw that if I wanted to experience this firsthand, you know, obviously my window of opportunity is pretty small. I'm 53 right now, so obviously I'm not going to be able to compete with the young kids forever. But when I play well right now, I can still, you know, sort of hang in there. So I wanted to be a part of it again.
Yeah, and the sport's at a stage where it allows you to not have to win every event like you maybe did in 1999 or early 2000s and still be able to make a living, you know?
Exactly, which is crazy because there actually used to be a little more animosity between players, because if a top player would come to an area, then that might have meant that nobody else cashed, because there might have only been 4 people in the division. But now, exactly like you said, you know, many people have salaries outside of how they play, and so there's a lot more companionship and rooting for each other, and I really like that part of it a lot. And yeah, that's it makes it more enjoyable, and it feels more like a family, and it's less pressure on the course.
Do you think disc golf now is maybe in better hands than it was in back in the day? Even though it was more of a family feel back then, it wasn't on the course. Because I hear a lot of people, I'm just going to say from your generation, talk like the Frisbee family, you know.
Well, see, the thing that we're missing now with tee times, you go to the course an hour or half an hour before, you play your round, you sign your autographs, and you get out of there. Now, granted, most of the players are staying together next to each other in their RVs and such, so you have that family feel there. But there's not the jam at lunchtime between rounds and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, their rooting on was timed well for your shot.
I know. I was like, wow, someone's watching.
Maybe
Okay. I used to have one of those.
Hot test, did they still give them out when you started playing?
I had to beg for it though. I think Travers took it out of his closet to give me one year.
That's where this one's from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Travers gave her that when we were up at Mother Love this year.
That's a little short. And that's short.
Oh, looks like me. Like there's only so many times in like one day you can handle missing it low. Like, I think I literally told myself like you can't miss low for 15 years in a row. Like at some point you have to like get it above the cage. It's like the cage is so much smaller than the basket. How do you miss low? It's like unbelievable, but I managed to do it.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Frickin' A. Head on over to infinitus.com. They're doing a huge 4th of July sale. Thousands and thousands of discs are on sale. Head on over there. Make sure to grab yourself something, whether it's Drew Gibson, Juliana Korver, Finish Line discs. Head over to infinitus.com and take advantage of their 4th of July sale. Let's go right back to the video. Is that just kind of like a layup play?
That's just my super safe putter play, and then I'll try something more aggressive.
I honestly, par on this hole is like not. I mean, it's not going to lose you the tournament.
I probably should continue to think in terms of winning and stuff, but I just cannot I can't get my mind in that set. My win is like a top 10 finish to me is a win.
Okay. Miss. Oh, that was so good though. Juliana, just accomplishments, whether in the Frisbee world or the disc golf world, what comes to your head? It could be 1, it could be 10.
Cashing at USDGC against the men.
I was gonna bring that up because I think you're the only woman FPO player to ever do that. And you know, there's been a lot of them in the field. I think that's a pretty incredible accomplishment that goes unnoticed when people talk about MPO versus FPO, that you're the only player to ever accomplish that.
And keep in mind that I gave up women's titles to do so because it was played at the same time as women's nationals.
Oh, so you sacrificed.
I forfeited major titles to go play against the men.
Wow, and you cashed, which
Yes.
no other woman can say they've done that.
So now, you know, I never thought that there would be any Stat Mando.
Yeah.
And that these things would matter. And now I look back and I think, well, I could have potentially had this, and this. But
Yeah. But hey, you have an accomplishment that no one else, other people have won the Worlds.
And that's the tournament that I looked forward to more than any other the rest of the year.
Really, even the FPO events.
Oh my gosh, so much more than the FPO events. Sorry, but I mean, well, first of all, I liked that people's expectation of me was somewhat low because then I could blow it out of the water.
Yeah.
As opposed to my expectation being super high and then all I could do is, you know, either meet that or not meet it.
Yeah. Well, and with being an MPO, people expect you to not do well. So if you don't do well, no one's surprised. Like, oh, she didn't do well. What a surprise. And if you kill it like you did, then it's like, oh, holy moly, look what she did.
Playing against the men really brought out a different competitive edge in me. You know, it was kind of fun to like almost be aggressively razzing. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't really, but I was more that way than I ever would have been or could have been against women.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there were 2 cut lines then.
Yeah.
There were 2 cut lines. The guys would get, because we didn't have it all online, so it was all up on a board. And guys would get up there and they'd be looking up the cut line, but then they'd be looking up, where's Juliana?
Yeah, and are you
Am
below
I
her?
ahead or below Juliana?
That's
So
got to be fun to
it
be
was hilarious watching
that
guys sweat it.
Yeah, that person, you know, where it's like you're kind of the shark in the water, even though you're not like the biggest fish, you know, it's like.
But I also felt like the guys really celebrated with me. I mean, they didn't.
The ones that you beat didn't.
Well, no, actually, Todd Branch, who was part of the winning crew, he and I tied, and they didn't call places down to where we cashed, but he wanted to lift me up in his shoulders and carry me up to there. You know, I mean, so he was celebrating with me as well. Yeah, nice shot.
Yippee! Thank you. Circle 3.
Oh, it's so short though.
Oh, no, it's way over there.
2-shot hole for you? Just going left and then laying up?
I'm just trying not to get wet, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to try it on a water hole.
That water is real high.
It's very, very high.
Oh, out of bounds.
Too far. I've never thrown to that pin. I've never thrown to that pin before. You mentioned it before, how kind of the demographic in like FPO disc golf has changed a bit with more money in the sport and stuff like that. What are some of the main differences other than money that have changed? And then how can we, you guys, us, the Pro Tour, whatever, further grow FPO? Like what steps do you think need to be taken there?
Okay, well, the easy one and how it's changed is that women always used to play from the men's tees.
And now you have your own course every week.
Now we have our own course. And the funny thing for me is that I used to lobby for women playing the same as men because I wanted to compare myself to the guys, and that's the only way I could judge my own success is if I would have cashed in the men's.
Okay.
But now, part of it is that just that courses have been expanded so ridiculously far that it's just absurd for the women to be playing from the men's tees. So now, every short tee that there is, I'm just so thankful.
You're like, yes, a short tee and a short basket.
Exactly. How to get more women? Gosh, that's the question that's been asked forever. When I first started playing, 93, I can remember the demographics. Women, 7% of the PDJ. We're pretty much identically still 7% of the PDJ. So
yeah. That's more women, obviously, but a lot more men also.
Don't. Thank you.
Okay, bullseye. Yeah, that's a crazy stat to think, because obviously 7% now is a lot more women, than 7% then. But still, 7% is relatively the same thing.
We've grown at the same rate as everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be curious to know I asked this question to all the FPO players, and I even asked it to Rusko, because I did one of these with him. And his answer was like, getting it on TV. And now I think we've been on TV. I think we've done the CBS Sports. I think we've done all that. And I don't know if that's the answer. I think that's the answer for disc golf, having more people see it. But I don't know if that's the answer for FPO exclusively.
Yeah. So I have, I've seen and I've tried so many of these things. 25 years ago, I made a database of all the women that I knew that played, and I would contact every TD. You used to be able to do that because there were so few tournaments. And I would give them a list of things that they could do to help encourage women. And then the tournament directors that got back to me and said, okay, I'll do, these 3 things. Then I would send the message to the women and say, these events are really trying to do something special. So I was trying to do all that coordination, and it might have helped, it might have not. I mean, selfishly, it gave me an inside look at where people were going to play so I could go play against the biggest fields. I tried to do a similar database with free places for women to stay, but then that got a little sketchy with...
Hey, we'll talk about that a different day.
I could get in trouble.
That's a different video.
Yeah. I've done women's tournaments. I've done women's leagues. I don't know. I don't know what I'm curious. The other sports out there. I mean, what the demographic, the ratio men to women is, and how different it is for disc golf versus some of the other sports.
I mean, I feel like pickleball is obviously growing, right? I feel like when I go to the pickleball court on a whatever afternoon, there's 70 men and maybe someone's girlfriend that's there because they want to like spend time with their boyfriend. I don't think that our sport is like astronomically any different than any others when it comes to like how many men versus women do you think play pickup basketball at the local gym? Or like
I would guess that we're better than that.
Yeah, because there's a lot. You go to the disc golf course, there's a lot more women with a full bag of discs and ready to play and want to play and play women's league than there is women wanting to go play pickup basketball at 24 Hour Fitness or softball or whatever it might be.
So I think it's a big win that we have 50 women or more that want to play every one of these elite events.
Yeah,
that is fantastic, and I do think that the televising these events is going to make more women want to play at this level. So I do think we're doing something right there.
Okay. Whether
it's affecting the bottom line and the ratio, I don't know. Whether we need to, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a question that has a million answers.
This basket here used to be the basket for 18, so we used to finish.
Down in the cove.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool hole. This course is so much different than ours.
It's very lackadaisical. Very nice.
Wow.
A piece of watermelon?
Yeah. As a candy. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice shot.
Thank you.
So, here's a question. Haven't really had the chance to ask anybody else. Disc technology throughout your career, how has that, do you think that's kept you playing better, throwing farther at this age than you maybe even were at one point in your playing career?
Yeah, I definitely don't have the strength, the arm speed, the accuracy. None of my game is as good as it used to be, but my play can somewhat keep up because of the technology. You're exactly right. To what extent? Who knows?
Yeah, I've always made that argument for myself because I feel like I have a lot of control and I could throw it far, that I could have played in the 90s with the slow discs and still had my advantage, because now I can throw call it a fairway driver, and someone else can throw their 13-speed boss on a flex and keep up with me. To where if the best we had was a T-bird, it's like, okay, I'm 70 feet ahead of you, and there's nothing you could do to make yours go further.
Right.
No flex shot, no crazy sidearm, nothing is going to help you at that point. It's just you're going to be 50, 60, 70 feet behind.
So I'll tell you something interesting about throwing slow. Yeah? Okay. After I got out of the sport first time around, I got into running. And so I would sometimes go out to the course with just one disc. I was living in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the time. And I would run the course for cardio just to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
And at Lover's Lane and Kyriakis, my personal best on both of those courses, and I lived there for 7 years, was with one disc running, a
Really?
mid-range. So I love playing one disc rounds. I love playing with a putter. I love throwing stuff that's slow.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me. When I first started playing was the year like the Destroyer came out, which obviously sounds crazy to you.
Yeah.
But I've thought, like, in my professional career, like, man, if I had played 20 years earlier, and we were all battling throwing a rock or a cheetah, like my strengths would be much more out there than
Yes.
what they are now. And my strength isn't putting.
It wasn't the cage though.
Yeah, I finally missed high. But no, I think that's an interesting part of our game now, is how people can use their disc where their skills aren't, for lack of a better term. It's like, oh, I can't throw 450 feet, so I'm just gonna throw the fastest disc I can on a flex and get a 40-foot skip. So you guys, you were joking about, oh, the Viper, I didn't feel that was too stable. Now it's like people abuse the stable discs to, get where they're trying to go, versus you guys had to flip it up and fly it and control it. And if you hit a tree with a DX disc, it might never be the same.
I actually don't like throwing hyzers, and I'm not very good at it. I much prefer an Anheuser or a straight shot.
Yeah. And were you that way your whole career?
Yes.
Okay. So back in your day then, what were kind of some of the discs that you enjoyed that were stable enough to handle that power and torque?
Well, so I don't know if many people know that I was originally sponsored by Discraft. In '96, I hit an ace with a Discraft Hawk.
Okay,
at the World Championships, and to anybody's knowledge at the time, that was the first time a woman had aced at a Pro Worlds. And so Sylvia Vokes went to Kenner, because it was a Discraft disc, and said that he needed to do something for me because I just aced with his disc. And so that started my sponsorship with Discraft back then.
Okay.
So back then, some of the discs, and this isn't a fairway driver, but I loved the Stratus,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
Comet, super understable, controllable discs that you can
Manipulate.
put on a line. Yeah.
All right, hey y'all, are you looking for a sick disc golf bag? If you're not interested in my signature lure bag, head on over to squatchdiscgolf.com. Use code DREW to save yourself free shipping and get yourself something new. Treat yourself for the summer. This bag has cooler pocket options, all types of stuff. squatchdiscgolf.com. What a good flight that is. Nice shot. What disc was that?
That was my Tour Series Touring from last year.
Where can they get one?
Well, a factory store.
Okay. Hey, go to the Inner Factory store to support Juliana. She'll greatly appreciate it. And so will her dinner.
Which I will make. This is a good spot, I think, to try your new
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Gorgon.
Oh my God.
So what's some of the differences in like possible exposure or things from back when you were, you know, on tour full time?
So back in the day, the people that were watching, they were the other players. You know, if you'd have a final 9, everybody else who had already finished playing would come and watch. So there was nobody outside of the tournament there, and there was no broader audience. And you can argue very easily that that's one of the wonderful things that has happened to disc golf is all of the eyes that are on it and all of its visibility. But when I was coming up the ranks, if that many people were watching, if there was Reddit, if there was YouTube, if there was Disc Golf Network, I'm not sure I would have stayed long enough to even get to the top. Maybe I would have, but I probably would have run away with my tail between my legs as soon as I did, because I was off the charts introverted, and that would have been almost impossible for me to handle
All
that
of the
attention.
extra critique and praise. Here's the thing. I will say this, you guys. I'll make this video or whatever video, and I might get 500 good comments, but the one mean one sticks with you. The other ones, you're just like, oh, thank you, like that was nice of you to say. But then the mean one, you'll think about that in 3 a.m. You're like, wait, why did they say that? So like, I understand where you're coming from in the sense of like, you could win the world championship in 98, 99, whatever, 3 in a row, whatever it might be, and someone says, oh, well, she did this, and all of a sudden you're like questioning your own.
Well, the thing you got to remember,
your own
though,
skills.
Drew, is that right now it's instant feedback.
Good and bad.
The good and bad, the seeing it, everything. For us, there was a video or a disc they made, CD.
20 years later.
Ask your parents what
6
a
months.
CD is
6
if
months.
you don't, not sure. But a CD.
No, it's a VHS tape.
Yeah, VHS. Yeah. And so you would have to wait 6 months, 8 months for that to come out. Or the magazine would come out every 3 or 4 months, 5 months, and it would have everything all in the back. And all you'd see is the line
But
stuff.
I'm not just talking about bad stuff. I'm talking about the good stuff too. I couldn't handle that, because then I felt like I had something to live up to, or I felt like I wasn't worthy of it. I mean, just the attention in itself would have been almost impossible for me to handle.
Do you think there's other players that from that era, Barry, Kenny, do you think would have handled that, or you think they would have soaked up the...
I think they would have been fine.
Okay.
I think I was a little... I think I pegged the needle on introversion, so I think I was a little bit on my own there.
So as you've finally aged, though, I'd say that you've gotten much better at that, right?
I think I hide it well.
Okay, fair enough.
Or hide behind me.
Literally, yes.
Or hide behind Jim. That's a big thing to hide behind. If I was that tall, I'd probably throw it 800 feet.
I don't know. If you broke both your feet, it might be a little shorter.
Yeah, probably. Go farther.
Not sure if they got around the corner or not. Is that your putter?
Yeah.
Watermelon.
Watermelon. Candy Crush.
Holding up well. When you throw it at that high spin.
Go. Okay.
Okay, let me try this one
All right, ace run? You gonna ace run it with that one?
now. Sure, I'll try.
All right, I'll ace run it.
No. Nose up. It's in.
It's like a perfect distance for you, I feel like, to like rip it up the hill and not go like too far.
Yeah, I often have to worry about going too far.
Drop, 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 drop. Oh.
Oh,
Dang it. I often have to worry about going too far.
Drew, you know I'm your mother's age, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine her out here throwing?
No.
Okay.
So, mentorship. Who are some of your big mentors in the sport coming up? Both good and maybe Someone who you said, I don't want to be like that person.
So Jason Steffen, local Iowa guy, was the one who got me into the sport. So he initially showed me what I needed to do, but he very quickly like almost said nothing because he wanted me to learn it on my own instead of being reliant on him. Jeff Harper, guy from Iowa City area, was top pro in the area, and I really looked to him for form. And back then, you know, very, very little video, so I did my own video of him, and then I would record myself and look at myself throwing because I didn't have the best kinesthetic awareness, so I couldn't tell where my arm was, what the angle was, so I had to see it. So I tried to make myself my own learning tool.
And it worked out, I would say. I'd say you figured it out. Okay, fantastic putt. Is this one of your guys's? Yep. I like playing your layout.
Me too.
I'm gonna try to lobby to play with you guys.
In '95, I won Am Worlds. And coming back home, I was a grad student at the time, talking to some family friends and such. I had two people independently laugh at the fact that, you know, I didn't say this broadly, but I said, you know, my next goal is to win Pro World.
Yeah.
And I had two people laugh at me.
And those are the people that motivated you?
Well, one was an ex-boyfriend. That was really motivation. And the other one was a friend of the family who last year came out to this event. He's in his 80s, and he was almost crying, apologizing for saying that to a young
So he remembered
girl.
it.
He thought about it his entire life. He followed my career. He cut out everything that he ever saw. He came out here specifically to apologize. He said, I don't want to go to my grave regretting that I said that to you, and you proved me wrong. And I felt so bad. I mean, at the time it was, I was furious.
Yeah.
I was, you know, my mid-20s, and this adult man said there was no way that I could do that. Well, if I work hard enough, I can.
Yeah, 5 of them later.
and so he, you know, could barely walk, and he came out to the course just to apologize for saying.
Did that make
to
you feel
me.
better about it, I assume?
Well, it was a full circle moment, but then I felt bad that he
thought about it for 60
so
years.
long. Yeah.
I'd like you to make it.
This is one of the original holes.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Is that why it's 420?
Not my doing.
Original 420 hole. Be honest, I'm not that far off. Like, move the tee pad back 3 feet.
I wasn't around when they put the tee pads in.
Oh. That is so good. Oh my gosh. And the smile too. That was incredible. Great throw.
Yeah, you should play short tees with just your putter.
Yeah, that's what I realized today. Nice. So my goal is to make that putt. But what are some of your goals for like the rest of your disc golf career?
Oh, that's hard.
It could be teaching young women how to play disc golf.
You know what? One of my goals now is not to be too hard on myself.
That's a good goal.
I find that with great success sometimes comes great anxiety and stress to try to
Thank
maintain
you.
said success.
Yeah. So your goal is to just be nicer to yourself.
Exactly.
That should be my goal. I'd probably feel better at night when I went to sleep.
There was There was a time in my life when I thought that coming back here and doing poorly could erase previous accomplishments.
Which isn't true.
Thank you.
No one will forget.
Maybe not forget, but then there's always that asterisk that, oh, but back then, you know, not many people played, and oh, back then people weren't very good. And
well, people could say that about everything. Someone's going to say that about Macbeth.
yeah, you're probably right.
You know, someone's going to say about Gannon. In 20 years, someone's going to say, there's going to be someone shooting 1070 every round, and they're going to be saying, oh, well, Gannon didn't shoot 10, he was only shooting 1060. You know,
Yeah,
there's going to be someone.
Like you can compare ratings across.
Yeah, but there's going to be
anything.
someone that hates
Yeah.
on every generation. I like that. You could turn it a little bit. Oh, Heiser. It's like me. I'm like, all right, you could do this. Then I'm like, what about if I do that? You're like, wait, what just happened? Oh, I aced it. No, I didn't. Ching. You have some discs here. What's
Yes.
the difference in in the evolution of these coming out as well?
Okay, so 20 years ago, there was no such thing as a Tour Series disc.
Okay.
But I did have my name on a disc, and it still is on the AVRX. And the reason being, when I switched over to Innova, I walked through the factory with Dunapace, and he was putting discs in my hand, and you're going to throw this, and you're going to upshot with this, and you're going to putt with this. And he put a DX AVR in my hand, and I handed it back, and I said, no, I'm not. What do you mean? It's our best-selling disc. Of course you're going to putt with it. And it's like, it's too slippery. I want something that's more tacky. Oh, okay. And he pulled it away. And a week later, I got a box of 5 white blank discs that just said JK Test on them. And he said, what do you think of these? And it was the prototype for the AVRX. And I absolutely loved it. And that's why this disc was made. And that's why my name is still on it, because it was made for me.
And one thing she didn't mention that I think is really cool is it's JK Pro, just like it's KC Pro, Juliana Korver Pro, and then Ken Climo Pro. I think that's a pretty cool thing that's on there that people don't realize per se.
Yeah, so this 25 years ago, this was how you got your name on a disc, and you got royalties.
Because you won
that.
world championships, not because you just showed up.
And now, so this is one of my Tour Series discs this year. This is a Turn, and as you know, you can pick them up at the factory store, but the company makes X number of them. They try to sell them for you. You get proceeds from them. But this is another way. This isn't exactly a Tour Series disc. This is commemorative for the FP50 Worlds win that I just had. So
Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. This is actually a Roadrunner, and I don't know how many they made, but
And where can they get that?
also the factory store.
Okay, so go support her at the factory store or buy the AVR. You still get royalties from that for the last 20-something years. That's
4 years.
That's a lot of quarters at a time. Yes. All right, well, awesome, guys. Thank you so much. As always, if you made it this far in the video, I greatly appreciate the dedication to watching this whole thing. Thank you so much for your time being on the channel. We'll see you in the next one.